Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is episode number 50 of Coaching Connections with Marcus Alvarado. On today's episode, we've got Coach Frank Martin. Let me rephrase that. On today's episode, we've got the legendary Coach Frank Martin. Let's get it.
It's called Coaching Connection. It's called Coaching Connection. It's called Coaching Connection.
Sorry about that, brother.
That's all right, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I apologize. I got no idea. I was trying to sign on my computer, and it wasn't letting me. So I said, let me just try on the phone, and it let me in. So we're good to go.
We're here. There you go. I appreciate you, Coach. You enjoyed the summer?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's we're all in this new moment where we spend all spring trying to recruit our own players and transfers to fill our rosters.
Yeah.
And which then puts a greater, what's the word I'm looking for? Stress on summer with the players.
Yeah.
Not from yelling and trying, not that. Like, because you got to hit the fast forward button on getting to know them.
For sure.
Because it's you basically get 1 year right now. And you got to, rather than complain, you got to make it work.
Got to adapt.
Yeah. My thing is I want to coach them, and coaching takes time. It's relationship building. It's getting to know people. And so I used to be patient with that. Now it's like fast forward. And
no, I feel you, Coach. Like even at our level, at the high school level, I feel it's kind of the same because kids are just not really going to the high schools of the neighborhoods they grew up in like they used to. It's
the biggest problem we got. Problem we got is what you just said right there.
And so like I find myself at the middle schools more, right? Just connecting with our kids earlier. We host elementary school leagues with the fifth graders and fourth and fifth graders just to start them early, get them in our gym, get them acclimated to our community and want to be proud of, where they're coming from. And as they grow older and they've been in our gym since now, I've looked at it since elementary school, they're a little more attached and wanting to come and starting that relationship building at an earlier age. It's kind of crazy, but it's like you said, you have to adapt or get left behind, I guess.
Yeah. All this started, it didn't start in college. It started in high school. The transferring part started in high school. And your point, we've lost the day of, you go to a school in your neighborhood and you got to play with the guys in your neighborhood to form a bond.
Yeah.
To then go beat the people in the other neighborhood. We've lost that. Before, if you lost, you have to go back in your neighborhood to the park on Saturday or whatever and deal with all them dudes that are busting your ass for losing that game.
Yes. And what I was going to say to your point was I remember even in the off season, the summertime, in the spring, just rolling with our guys from our team and just going park to park in different neighborhoods and just, I'm not running with anybody else but my guys and you got your guys and that's your neighborhood and
that's it.
That pride that comes along with it, it's missing a little bit for sure.
We've lost that, man. And in those situations, you have to learn to coexist with people, even the guys you don't get along because you live in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
If not, you can't go play at the same park.
Yeah, you won't be welcome back.
So you learn how to respect even the people that maybe you don't vibe with, because but it's a crazy moment we're in.
But that's why I think sports and life in general parallel each other so well because you learn those things at an early age. And then you get out into the world. Not everybody's a professional athlete, but you had the tools to coexist with people and work with people from different backgrounds and that don't agree with you, but you learn how to make it work because you're trying to work and you don't want to get fired. You got to make it work. I think
absolutely. We live in a life, man, that we always dreamt of being one of those celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the life we lived.
No.
Now, because of social media, we think we're all celebrities.
Yeah, everybody.
and the celebrities live a different life than 99% of the people. 99% of the people have to get along because they they got to figure out a way to make it with a job that maybe isn't great, but it pays the bills and it gives
Yeah.
you a chance to feed your family. But now because of social media, everyone thinks they're a celebrity,
Yeah.
and so we're all, it's pulled us apart.
For
And the
sure.
thought of social media was to connect people, and it's done the opposite. It's
Yeah.
divided.
For sure, man. I agree with you, and that's one thing I can appreciate about when you come across people who are genuinely and authentically themselves. And I think that's Frank Martin, right? When you think of Frank Martin, he's authentically going to be Frank Martin, regardless of social media or the internet or whatever. He's just going to be himself. So I appreciate that, Coach.
You got it, brother. You got it. Like I had something come up here this morning. I'm like, dude, no, I need you to do it. I'm like, just got home last night from a week of recruiting, bro. Like, let me chill. Let me get on this call with my guy, and
I
but all good, all good.
appreciate it though.
Anytime you need me, you holler at me.
So I guess we'll start off with impact, right? Coaches have this ability to make connections with the people around them, and have a profound impact on a lot of the players' lives that they work with. So talk to me about some coaches in your life that have had a profound impact on you as a man and as a coach as well.
Um, yeah, I mean, it all started for me with the guy named Shaky Rodriguez, who has passed away. He was our neighborhood coach. He lived in the neighborhood. He went to our high school. He became the JV coach at our high school, and then he became the head coach at our high school. And he I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that yeah, when he retired from coaching, he was the winningest high school coach by percentage in the history of the state of Florida,
Oh wow.
uh, and won a gazillion state championships. Just won at different schools, and then also became a head Division One as a Cuban. He's born in Cuba, and became the head Division One coach at Florida International University. So he which was also my alma mater. He was a pioneer. But he was like a father to me. My dad left the house when I was like 7 years old, so I really didn't have a dad, as most guys in the neighborhood. And he was our father figure. He's the guy that complemented the structure that our homes were asking us to live under, and then I ended up coaching with him for 9 years. So I owe most of it to him, and then I got around guys like Rudy Keeling, who gave me a break and hired me at Northeastern. He's passed away. Rudy was an incredible man. His patience was incredible. Then I went and worked for Ronnie Everhart. By the way, Bob Huggins is the guy that helped me with all these jobs. And I'm talking about guys that are older than me that
Yeah.
have opened doors. I mean, Anthony Grant is like the closest thing to a brother. He and I graduated from high school together. He's godfather to my oldest son. He and I coach high school ball together. So, but we're more like peers. But we're both in coaching. Bob Huggins is a guy I met back in 1990, and over the years, our friendship continued to grow. And he helped me get into college, and has opened up a lot of doors for me. And continues to be an unbelievable mentor to me. And then a guy that helped me a lot as to understanding, it opened doors for me how to get to a different level of the people I was around in high school. And George Raveling, who had retired from coaching and became the head of grassroots for Nike. And came in and really opened a bunch of doors for me. And even though he wasn't coaching when he was helping me, he was very instrumental in teaching me how to make the transition to college, and decisions in recruiting and decisions as a college coach. And so for the most part, those are the guys that are older than me that as coaches, head coaches, made my life better. And Ron Everhart, who obviously kept me on at Northeastern, and he's become like a big brother. We're closer in age, but he trusted in me to give me responsibility as a second year assistant coach in college basketball. So I'm lucky, man. I've been around some incredible dudes.
So I grew up in the neighborhood that I coach at.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a head coach there for over 10 years. Um, I don't plan on leaving. When I get out of coaching, I want to, move up the administration ladder in the district and just keep giving back to the community, that raised me.
That's all I ever wanted to do. This college thing wasn't something I aspired to do. I just wanted to do what he did, which was live in the neighborhood, coach everyone in the neighborhood, and help the young bucks in the neighborhood figure out a way to find success the way it helped me find success.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't coaching in a Final Four or being interviewed on national television back then in the 90s, I had still found unbelievable success. My salary was only $32,000 a year, whatever it was, teaching 5 math classes a day. That didn't determine success. The success came from my ability to pay my bills, be responsible, and then do my part to help elevate the lives of others. That's where success came from, not from what others thought of me or what some record on TV said I accomplished.
Sure.
And that's all I ever wanted to do. But and just I'm not trying to be gloom and doom on you. It just as long as your bosses are the right people, then you can have peace with what you're doing. And back in 1996, 7, I had a new boss, new principal at the school, and he was different.
Yeah.
And then I went through a difficult period in August of 98 because he decided to make himself look good, moved me from being the basketball coach at the school, and removed the AD who had been the AD for 30 years.
Wow.
Just because he was trying to make himself look good for his career.
Yeah.
Instead of standing strong with his people, which is what that neighborhood always taught me. So because of that, I decided to start trying to move. And I coached high school ball for another year, which was awesome because, that guy tried to, you learn in life, man. I don't live through misery. I don't live holding grudges.
Yeah.
When I was young, it goes when you're young, you headbutt people and you get in a scrap and you wake up with a headache and you're like, why, what? And as you get older, you realize that if you hold on to anger and dislike and whatever, you live miserable.
For sure.
I just learned. And I tell my young staff, take notes, man. Take notes. They say, what do you mean? Just take notes. Understand who's opening doors for you and who's trying to kick you out the door. Just take notes and keep them in your back pocket so you can make decisions, but don't hold it in your heart because then you can't function. And but I got hired at the neighboring high school for it used to be our middle school that fed our high school, and it was one of the Booker T. Washington was one of the only. It was 2 before segregation. Before segregation ended, Booker T. Washington was one of the 2 black high schools in Miami, and it was the neighborhood on the other side of the river from where I grew up on. And they made it into a middle school so they can combine the schools. And then God works funny, bro. This guy comes in and fires me, and that's the first year for Booker T. Washington becoming a high school again. After, because the community, and they immediately said, come on, Frank, come on. So I got back on the saddle with them. And
nice transition right there.
Yeah, man, unbelievable. And same neighborhood, same people, same everything. Which was powerful. But then a year later, I got hired at Northeastern, and that's how the journey started for me.
You talk about your time as a math teacher and a high school teacher and coach. What parts of that job do you miss?
That's real.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that what I do now is real. What I do now is phony as hell because I'm judged based on the expectations and the opinions of people that don't know anything about me and don't know anything about my players, but all they care about is how many wins and how many losses we have.
Yeah.
And those wins and losses occur over 30 games a year.
Yeah.
That means there's 335 other days that no one really cares, which is really sad.
Yeah.
The people that are making the opinions about the job I do and the job my players do. When you're a math teacher, it was my first year as a head coach, and people at K-State, and people really didn't know me, and we lost a hard game, and I walk in, it was national TV, media room packed, and this media person said to me, he said, "You feeling pressure?" And I started laughing. I said, "Dude, you know what pressure is? 35 students, 27 desks, 18 textbooks, 180 days. That's
Yeah.
pressure." And they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "Yeah, I have a responsibility to teach every single one of them students, even though I don't have enough desks, enough textbooks. I got no excuse because we all live in the neighborhood, and I'm trying to uplift their lives, not create excuses as to why they should fail." And so that was the end. I was mad as hell because we lost the game. That was the end of the press conference. No one else wanted to talk to me.
Not asking him a question.
Yeah, but that's real. That, when you're a math teacher, man, that's real. Like you gotta, Marcus, I remember walking in because here's the other thing. It was my neighborhood. So I knew the ins and outs of what went down when school was out.
Yeah.
So I understood some of the challenges that these guys and girls faced before they walked into the building.
For sure.
And then they gave me the kids that no one else wanted to teach. That's who they gave me. And I was like,
you can handle it. I mean, yeah.
Like they used to call me houseman. My students say, "Yo, houseman." But I was one of them. I understood, man. I wasn't there to judge them, or I'm there to help them. But everyone thinks help is like, hey, let's high five and be happy. Help is hard sometimes, man.
You got to be real with them.
Yeah, man, holding people accountable. And when they challenge to see how committed you are to them, and they realize, like, yo, I ain't taking a step back, bro.
I'm not budging.
Like, yeah, I'm not going backwards. And then they realize, like, okay, I got to conform here.
Yeah.
Those moments are not comfortable, but they're real. And but I had a student one day. It was an Algebra 1 class. It was in the, I don't know, early 90s, I want to say. And my man just hated math. And he was like 18 years old, still taking ninth grade math.
Yeah.
Just hated math. And but he ends up in my class. So it's first week of school sometime, and I'm trying to get him to do some work. And and he like, "Coach, man, like I'm never going to do this. Like, when am I going to do algebra in life?" I got no idea where it came from, but I'm a big believer that when people that you're trying to lead ask you a question, if you give the wrong answer, you lost them.
For sure.
If you get the right answer, you got them. And I have no idea where this came from. No one ever said this to me before. I'd never read this. But when he said this is the answer that came out. And I've lived by it ever since because it's the truth. He said that to me, and he's right. You don't go to the cash register at whatever, and say, "Hey, let me have A squared plus B squared equals C squared." No, man, they're like, "Yo, $2.50. Here's $3, 50 cents." But when he asked me that question, I said to him, I said, "Man, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you. You're right." I said, "But this is what I do know. The older you get, the more problems you get. Yeah. And if you can't solve problems, you got no chance. And you know what math teaches you? Logic. Math helps you understand how to solve problems. It forces your brain to have logic. And that's the answer I gave. That dude looked at me like, damn. And from that day forward, he gave me a chance to help him understand math. And everyone else in the class too, because this wasn't like a little one-on-one conversation.
Everybody heard it.
Like, yeah, in front of everybody. And I got no idea where that answer came from. Don't ask me. I got no clue. I'm not trying to act like I'm some genius.
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer, man, just like with our teams. When a player, I'm teaching a 2-3 zone, and a player says, "Hey, the rotation on this pass, what do you want me to do?" If I'm like, bro, I lost him.
Yeah.
Him and the team, I got no chance.
Yeah.
But if he says this, I'm like clear. I'm like, this is what we're doing. Now them players are like, okay, he's committed to this. He knows what he's talking about. We got to be committed to it. And
Yep.
it was the same in the classroom. I missed the classroom, man. I thought that when you're elevating people's lives, not because of score of a game, but because it's the score when no one's watching,
Yep.
that's powerful.
And you talk about that connection you're making with these guys, and probably, like you said, you never heard that saying before. It's just what came from the heart. It was real. It was genuine. It was just what you felt in the moment.
Yeah,
And so I was gonna ask this later, but we'll just get to it now. When you're real with people and you're honest with people, when you coach hard the way you do, one, I appreciate the heck out of it. I love to see how you handle yourself, but um, I think no, there's a balance too. I think what I've learned from guys, watching guys like you and Coach Pop, that do coach hard, there is a balance of genuine care and empathy and love they have for the people they're working with. Talk to me a little bit about that balance. Was it something that you had to learn, or is it something that you kind of were naturally already had in you, and how to balance that out?
that's again go back to Shaky Rodriguez. It's our neighborhood, man.
Yeah,
All we had was each other. We didn't have TV. There's no when I was a kid, there was no college basketball in Miami. There was no NBA in Miami. We had nothing. We had the park. We had our high school. We had our neighborhood. That's it.
yeah,
And as Cuban immigrants, our parents never went to college. They came to this country and they got jobs. So all we knew was we got to figure it out, or I'm gonna be doing that job the rest of my life.
yeah,
And nothing wrong with that job, but if I want to do more, I got to figure some stuff out here. And
yeah,
so we have to respect everyone in the neighborhood because we didn't know that there was another. Uh, uh, um, we thought that the 10-yard line was the end zone. We
yeah,
didn't comprehend the end zone was actually a little bit further away.
yeah,
But um, that's where I learned it from. And what I learned back then, which I fight real hard to stay true to because it's who I am to my core. I mentioned it earlier. If I only worry about the scoreboard, winning and losing games, then players only care about what impacts winning and losing games.
yeah,
But then I can't make them better.
yeah,
They're gonna be who they are, and then I gotta trust an individual talent to win a game. My job is to elevate people's lives. My job is to not accept them for who they are, but help them grow to who they want to become. And that takes a lot of time. I can't just use the 30 days that we have games. I got to use all 365 days to figure that one out.
yeah,
And that means that you have to spend a lot of time getting to know people. You have to spend time caring for them, making them understand that you want to help them. But then on game day, we're trying to win the game. So we got to come together. And you don't want me to mess with you, don't mess with me.
yeah,
And so game day is about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about us. Tomorrow, we'll deal with you. Then you can deal with me. But today, we got to win this game. But the other 335 days, we got to build that relationship because um, when you show people that you're genuinely committed to helping them to understand how to elevate their lives, they give you their heart, man.
yeah,
When people give you their heart, now it's real.
for
Now
sure.
this now I can hold you accountable and make you uncomfortable, and you're not running away crying. And you can hold me accountable and make me uncomfortable, and I'm not quitting on you.
Yeah,
And as a coach, and that's what it's about. Because if we're doing all that, and then a game starts, and you make a mistake, and I let you slide, then you're like, yo, this dude, he ain't real. He's just trying
yeah,
to win a game, trying
yeah,
to bullshit off the court. If you don't go to class, but I keep playing you, but I'm preaching to you like academics, then you're going to go back and say, man, this dude, he talking all that noise, but he's
not
still
really
going to
about
play
it.
me.
Yeah,
He just cares about winning. Because at the end of the day, when you're in high school, your salary don't change based on how many wins you got.
yeah,
When you're in college, I just signed a contract extension.
Yeah.
Well, that happened not because our players went to class. That didn't happen because we do community service. That happened because we won more games than this school had won in 12 years.
Yeah.
So they gave me a contract extension. All that other stuff is minutia. My guys did that in South Carolina. I got fired.
Yeah.
Why? We did everything right off the court. I mean, rock solid, incredible. But we, after the Final Four, we never got back to that NCAA tournament. So you lose your job. And we all understand that as coaches when we get into it, but we can't become phony that it's about keeping. I'm not trying to keep my job because of wins and losses, because then I can't get you on board
Yeah.
to sacrifice to make yourself better. Because we all think that growth is this happy, hey, let's be happy. No, man, growth
No,
is uncomfortable.
it's tough. It's tough.
Growth is uncomfortable. Happy is the joy that you have after you experience growth.
Yeah.
But guess what? The day after that, it's back to work because you got to grow again. So it's uncomfortable again. No, listen, let me tell you something. When you finally get 225 on the bench, man, that's like joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then the next day they put 245 on the bench. That ain't fun.
Yeah.
That ain't fun. And now you're trying to get that thing off your chest and it ain't going nowhere. Man, ain't no joy there. That's failure. That's stressful and it's failure. There's no joy there. And that's when, when you're coaching high school ball, you're trying to get people to understand that the days are a lot harder than they are celebratory.
No, for
There's
sure.
more hard days than there are celebratory days, and trying to help them understand the journey of growth, which is complicated.
And I mean, not to sound cliche, but that's why they're called growing pains because it's a little painful sometimes. It's not easy.
Correct. Correct. That's exactly right. It's and all these people they just but like I have people come up to me and say, Frank, why don't you smile more during games? I'm like I didn't know that was part of my contract, that I needed to stand up there and be happy when I'm in the middle of my business meetings. Do you think the people that run IBM or Google or whatever brand, you think their CEO, that's what I am. I'm the
Yeah.
CEO of basketball at UMass. You think the CEO, those 30 meetings a year that he conducts or she conducts, you think they sit there, hey, you didn't meet your quota. That's okay.
Locked
That's
in. Yeah, they're locked in.
me. That like, and that's what those meetings are. It's we're all sacrificing all year to do our part so we can have those 30 moments we understand that we're going to be judged on.
Yep.
Not me, we. And the only reason that whether we succeed or fail that day, we come back the next day has nothing to do with the game. It's about who we were before that game started, that trust about each other. And then that's how you come back the next day and you deal with failure or you deal with growth, whichever one, because you don't deal with both. You deal with failure and you deal with growth, and one or the other. But either one, you got to work the next day. And that commitment to work the next day, to be uncomfortable again the next day, only comes from building those relationships.
It's funny you say that. My assistant coach, he's fairly new in the profession, and he always tells me, especially on game, he's like, why do you look so serious and angry? Or I'm like, I'm actually in a good mood. I'm just locked in. I'm focused on what we got to do. It's just my face. He's like, well, your face is a little scary sometimes, and I'm like, well, I'm a nice guy, he goes, yeah, you're a really nice guy. He goes, it's just you don't have to look so scary all the time. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. It's just I'm locked in right now.
We're all different, man. Like
Yeah,
everyone handles that moment. Though my 2 hours of practice, the 2 hours of games, that's 2 hours of my day. The
yeah,
other 22 hours, man, I'm chill. I'm
yeah.
like I'm always joking and I want to laugh. I want to enjoy. There's days that I want to laugh and I can't. Life don't let me laugh. It makes me cry. But what am I going to do? It's you got to deal with it. And so uh, we all have to be true to who we are, because
Yep,
we can fake the TV. We can't fake who shows up the next day to practice.
for
You
sure.
you you ain't faking the funk with the dudes you live with, man. You can fake the funk with the people you speak with. You can't fake the funk with the people you live with.
Oh,
So
they'll,
we
they'll
got
read right through you.
Yeah, yeah. And if you do, man, you're gonna fail.
So you talk about some of the things that happened, just how you were raised and grew up and allowed you to handle some of these adverse moments in your life. How do you take, obviously that bleeds through in how you coach and how you carry yourself. How do you take that approach to things and convey that to your coaching staff? During no seasons, long season, 30 games, ups and downs.
Yeah,
And not
yeah,
it doesn't always go how you plan. How do you convey that to your coaching staff and to your players as well?
yeah. Who you hire is the most important part of building a. Everyone uses the word culture, which I think is
Yeah.
so overused. It's like you ask somebody what their culture is. Everyone says the same thing. Like, come on, man. Like, and in today's day and age where people come and go every single year, you got brand new team. It's really hard
Oh,
to build. Come on. But I am the caretaker of what this program will be about.
yeah.
And the guys that stay here, they have to fight for that. And then as they fight for it, I learn to trust them.
Hmm.
And as I trust them, I give them ownership. And once I give them ownership, then they get to invest so we can build who we are. They get to invest their thoughts and the way they think we should do things a little better. And that's how we come together. And that's how you get players to invest in what you do and grow what you're about. And that comes from a place of love. Love's not a word that you shortcut into it. I don't even know if I'm answering your question right now, but um, I tell players all the time, man, it's real easy to get married. All you got to do is run around and say, hey, will you marry me? Hey, will you marry me? Someone's going to say yes.
Yeah.
But once you get married, man, it's really hard to stay married. It's really complicated. And the reason why is because if you get married and love is not the real reason for it, the storms are coming. The bad days are coming. And when those bad days and those storms come, you run away from each other as fast as you can if love is not involved.
Yeah.
Now, once you're in love, man, you deal with the storms and you lose your shingles and your windows break, but you repair them because your home is strong. And you move on to the next day because love is involved. It's the same way with coaching and teams and players, and your staff, which is who you bring in there. There's gonna be bad days. There's gonna be days I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna tell myself, I don't give a you know what you guys say. This is how we're doing things,
Yeah.
and they can't get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
They got plan, and there's gonna be days that they're gonna come in and they're gonna say, "Yo, Frank, like you're not handling this the right way, man. I need you to take a deep breath and pay attention." And I can't be thin skinned enough to say, man, I ain't listening to you. I'm the head coach, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
It's so important. But the only way that those honest conversations take place is if your staff is genuinely connected.
For
And
sure.
if your staff is genuinely not connected, your players are not going to be connected because then the messaging, people think messages is what I speak. Messages is the interaction, the body language when players see coaches amongst each other.
Yeah.
The different thoughts, the different notes, the different visions in film session. If I'm on the court and I'm asking players to guard something a certain way, and then we go in the film room with an assistant, and the assistant's saying that to guard it a different way, man, that is like
Yeah.
disconnected.
Yeah.
Disconnected staff, you're gonna have a disconnected team.
And one of the things I ask assistant coaches in like the interview process whenever I'm searching for them, I, you want to find someone that is also not just a yes man, that, they have, I guess, courage enough to tell you when you're wrong or when they think that you're wrong or they think you should do something. It's like you said, we have to be not so thin-skinned to take it the wrong way. Now, I want guys to tell me, hey, I think there's maybe a better way of doing this. Why don't we think about this and not just go with everything you say because I don't think that's productive either.
No, absolutely. If your assistants aren't willing to tell you what they feel is right, even if it goes different than what you say, then they're not good assistant coaches. Because when there's going to be disagreement, and if you don't share the disagreement, then it's coming out somewhere else.
Hmm.
And if it comes out somewhere else, then that's broken.
Yep.
That disagreement has to be communicated amongst the people that disagree.
Yep.
because we're not here to outdo each other. We're here to do our jobs together the best we can, so we collectively can find success. And so that's why it's got to happen. I like in hiring. I'm old now, man. I'm 58. I've been in basketball 42 years, so I've got former players for 40 years. On my staff, I have one, two. I got three former players, a high school teammate, and then I've got two other guys that three guys that used to be Division I head coaches, two of which I had worked with before.
Hmm.
So that's our staff. So I'm lucky. One of the reasons I'm in a moment where college athletics is so turbulent because of all these new rules that have come in, and there's so much like lack of loyalty or lack of truth, and we're all like trying to figure out when this sea is going to settle down.
Yeah.
I'm in a great mood every day. Why? Because when I get out of bed, man, my staff, those guys, we're all connected.
Yeah.
So I walk in that building every day. I know that I can speak the truth and no one's going to get their feelings hurt. And they can speak the truth, and I got to be prepared to accept it. And they're going to tell me the truth. But once we walk out of the building, we don't have to look over our shoulders, man. We got each other's backs. And that's a great place of peace for a head coach to be in.
Absolutely. All right. LABC, Latino Association of Basketball Coaches.
Yep.
What does it mean to you to see how much it's grown and where it's going and the job that Jason and those guys have done in growing the organization?
Yeah, man, it's incredible. I remember they called me. I was at K-State, and they were two little young guys. And they're like, hey, we want to do this. And I was like, sure, sure. My head was spinning. I was like, sure, whatever you need, man, I'm all for it.
Jason?
And yeah, it was Jason, and it'll come to me here. You put me on the spot, and I've been recruiting for 6 straight days, so
All
I've
these
been
names are in their head,
my
yeah.
brain is going right now. Um, but so I went to this. I believe we were in Houston at the Final Four, and I went to a room at the convention center that they had reserved for this meeting. There was 4 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in. I was like, wow. But I saw these 2 young guys that they didn't care it was 4. They're like, let's work, man. Let's build this. Let's make it 8 next year,
Yeah.
man. And they have been relentless with their willingness to continue to give us all a way to connect with each other, because there's so few of us in this business.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. There's a whole lot of us in this business. There's so few of us that are in the place of hiring.
Gotcha.
And there's few athletic directors that are Hispanic or Latino. There's so very few college presidents that are Hispanic or Latinos. Even if you go into the cities at the high school level, most people that hire aren't like us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that like in a negative way. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Now, the principal at our local inner city neighborhood usually fits what the school looks like.
Yeah.
But outside of him or her, everyone else, it's it is what it is. I'm not trying to be critical. It's what it is. And my job is as a person that's been given an opportunity by people who didn't look like me. I described all kinds. You asked me, Shaky Rodriguez was impactful in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because we all look the same in my neighborhood. But once I got to college, everyone that's helped me, none of them look like me.
Yeah.
Make sense what I'm saying?
100%.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So my job is they hire me and give me opportunities for me to show like it's okay to give an inner city Hispanic kid an opportunity to lead and to give responsibility to. And that's what I've tried to do my whole life, so I can help the younger generation, the next guy that has an interview, and then to have ADs call me and say, what do you think about this person? And I'm like, go.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Because at the end, I'm not trying to knock people out of their jobs. I'm not trying to be critical of how other people got jobs. No, man, that's life.
Yeah.
I just want to do my part so I can be credible enough and trustworthy enough where then somebody that comes from my background can one day be given an opportunity because I did my part the right way, not because they're Hispanic or not because there's not enough like me. If I don't do my part the right way, then the next guy's not going to get an opportunity, and has nothing to do with him. It has more to do with me. So that's what this organization's done. It's kind of spread the word. It's connected us to where we can get to know each other, so we can help each other. So I can, I've been blessed with the opportunity of being allowed into college basketball. So I understand the intricacies of the do's and don'ts in college sports. And then I can share them with younger guys that if they aspire to do this one day, be better prepared for their opportunities.
No, it's beautiful, Coach. And to your point too, I think I'm just lucky or blessed, or San Antonio is a special place. Just I'm sure Miami is in your heart. I love where I come from, but I know we have
Yep.
two Division I universities here that have Latino athletic directors, which is pretty awesome. And then where I work in our school system, our superintendent of schools, he looks like us. He grew up in the neighborhood. He worked his way up, and he does a great job of understanding the needs of the community because he was from the community. He's a former basketball coach. So I think a lot of these things have made me a lucky guy to work where I work. So I appreciate that. All right, last question, Coach. Last
Yep.
question for you. What is some advice you would give a young Frank Martin getting into the profession, getting into the business, year one?
Oh man, be patient. It's when you're when it's okay to be eager, and it's okay to be aggressive when you're chasing your vision.
Yeah,
But you have to be patient, because if not, you get too emotional because you're gonna get told no. In life, we get told no a lot more than we get told yes.
yes, sir.
So if we can't accept the answer no and be at peace with it, it doesn't mean we gotta say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. We just got to be at peace for that day, that moment. The answer had to be no.
Yeah,
We then go to the next day and try to learn and refocus and rebuild to better fit. So one day we can get a yes answer, but that takes patience. There's no set path on how a young coach can move forward. I see too many guys that are so eager and so aggressive that they end up getting a crack, and they're given them the opportunity, and they're not prepared for that
mm,
moment.
yes, sir.
And then they're either used for what they can do, and then they're pushed aside, or they end up uh, getting being told to leave. And if you're patient, you learn how to be better prepared. That's my opinion. I'm lucky, man. I spent 16 years in high school basketball. I coached AAU ball. I coached high school ball. I coached NBA players in high school, so I was forced to understand how to coach really good players
Yep.
while in high school. I coached football guys that wanted to play basketball, so I learned how to help develop players because because it was the neighborhood high school.
Yeah.
Uh, so you had to learn how to develop them on how to utilize their abilities for your team to win and for them to feel good about what they were
That's a
doing.
balance too, right? Like you want to run your stuff, but some of those players, like UD or even Steve Blake, I'm sure in high school, those guys are pretty great. Like you also gotta let them be them at the same time.
Absolutely. It's you learn like the Steve Blakes and the Udonis Haslams and the Edwards brothers and the Jamel Martinez's, all these All Americans that I was fortunate to be around in high school. Their talent is different, man.
Yeah.
There's what it is. That's why they became pros. That's why they went on to college and played for national championships, because their talent was different. But you still got to coach them.
Mm.
You can't let them be. You got to challenge them to grow, and you got to. And as a young coach, like the stuff when I was 24 years old and I was coaching these guys that are 17, the stuff Steve Blake did as a player, man, I wasn't good enough to do as a player.
Yeah.
So I can't like tell him like, yo, do it the way I do it. No, I have to see what he was capable of doing so I can learn how good players do it, even at that young age. So
Mhm.
then I can keep teaching better and being more understanding. But at the same time, I had a guy named Mark Thurston who was led the Big East in sacks as a defensive end at West Virginia.
Yeah.
But in high school, he was a 6'4" power forward, and he was on my team. Easy thing would have been, yo, Mark, come in practice every day, and you'll be a part of this. But you're not quite good enough to play. No, I used to tell him like, yo, Mark, here's your job. If you come in and you make Udonis's life miserable for
Yeah.
2 hours in practice, because you're the only guy that's strong enough to do it, you got my word. I'll put you in every game. And he's like, you sure? I was like, try me. And he did. So every game I put him in, even though he'd only get a 3-4 minute window, he was like, you know what, man? I trust this dude. This dude kept his word. So that's where the patience I'm talking about. I learned all that for 16 years in high school.
Yeah.
So then the day I got the opportunity in college, I was prepared. The lessons Shaky taught me, the lessons the neighborhood taught me, learning how to coach that football guy or the NBA guy that was in high school, and trying to put all that together. That patience allowed me to be better prepared.
That's awesome, Coach. Man, I can't thank you enough for your time, Frank. It's been awesome. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know you get real busy. So thank you for everything. Let's connect when you come to San Antonio next year for the
Done deal.
conference. And if you need anything from me down the road, let me know.
Done deal, brother. You got my number. Same thing. Holler at me if you need
All
me.
right. Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach.
It's called Coaching Connection.